Hello, I'm Gareth.
And I'm Shane, and welcome to Building Business Resilience.
This is a podcast from Sanctuary Financial Planning, which helps growth business owners and social media influencers achieve financial independence.
We're two passionate financial planners on a mission to seek out new ideas, tips and tricks to help you take control of your finances and run better businesses.
We delve into the true goals and aspirations of our guests in order to provide you with some real value and positivity.
Nothing outrageous, clear, simple, solid financial solutions. We also have a YouTube series to accompany this, and details will be at the end of the show. So let's move on to our guest.
In today's episode, we're going to be talking to Paul Smolinski, networking guru and owner of Introbiz. He co-founded Introbiz Expo with his wife Tracey. Introbiz is one of the UK's leading business networks, established for over 11 years. They create and connect communities for global business opportunities. They host over 80 business events and exhibitions across Wales, UK, Europe and USA, connecting leading brands together online and offline. We'll be talking about how Introbiz came to be, online networking, the importance of networking, Lord Sugar and Grant Cardone. I need to stress that this information is up to date as of the 21st of April 2020, but it's changing on a daily basis. But the general advice and guidance is relevant throughout the coronavirus crisis. Hi Paul, how are you?
Yeah, I'm well. Good to see you guys. Thank you for having me on your podcast today.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's good to have you here. So tell us where it all started, Paul.
Yeah, I met my wife at a networking event, and it was 9 years ago that I went to Fairmont Castle, which is at a polo event, and I got introduced to Trace, who was the founder of Introbiz, and she ran a business network, and I never understood what that was, and my background was retail. I was an area manager running stores around the country. And when I got introduced to Trace, she said to me, I run a business network and I connect businesses. And it was more of a lifestyle business for her when she first set it up. But how she set Introbiz up, she was working for the Western Mail as a sales executive. And they told her one day, you need to go networking. And she went there out at various networking events, and she got it all wrong. For the first 6 months, she got it all wrong, meeting people, how to do business, because she was trying to sell to people. And she's asking people at these events, how come I'm not successful when everyone else is? And they said, Tracey, you're doing it all wrong. You're trying to sell advertising space to people. It's not about that. You've got to build relationships and build trust. And get people to know and like you and trust you. So she changed her track on the approach on meeting clients. And then 6 months later, she brought in just over £100,000 worth of business just by getting to know people and building relationships. And the Western Mail was saying, wow, what a fantastic network you are. That gave her the idea of setting up her own business. And she came up with the idea of setting up Introbiz, where she did once a month events. It was more of a lifestyle business for her because she had 2 children and she wanted to stay at home, and she wanted to have a lifestyle business where she could work once a month, putting events together. She built up a network that she had met people from the Western Mail. And then she started Introbiz, and then she's been doing it for about 2 years, more of a lifestyle income for her children. Her kids were young, go to school, and that suited her down to the ground. And then obviously I met her at a polo event, and she tried to convince me to come into the business, and I was having none of it. I said, no, I don't understand networking. It's not my scene. And then I had one invitation with Trace to go to London to go and see Sharon Lechter, who was the co-founder of Rich Dad Poor Dad, one of the biggest books of all time, and also to go and see a guy called Kevin Green, who's one of the biggest property landlords in the UK. And that's where, I went to this event in London with Trace, got hooked in with Sharon, resonated with Sharon, and went, wow, Trace had been nagging me for like 2 years to try and come into the business. I was having none of it, and I didn't get it at all. And that was one of the light bulb moments where I sat in the audience and went, wow, what this woman's been telling me for the last like hour and a half is what I've been doing for the last like 15, 20 years in my retail game, where meeting people, connecting people, knew lots of people, built up a big network of business owners. And I thought, imagine if I brought them into Introbiz. And that was one of the light bulb moments where I said to Trace, right, let's give it a go. Let's see my contact. Let's bring him into the business, and we'll give it a year. And that was it. That moment, we never looked back. And from there onwards, it just grew and grew and grew.
So are you admitting now on a recording that you've had to turn around to Tracey and say, do you know what, love? I give it to you. Everything that you have said is absolutely correct. I bow my hat to you. Well done.
And I speak on stage to sometimes 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 people. And every single time I have to like share that moment saying, why don't you listen to your wife? Why don't you listen to what you're being told? And as most entrepreneurs are, is right, okay, do you take advice from your wife? And I had to like eat humble pie. And even now, the business has been going over 11 years now, I still have to eat humble pie when that conversation starts going, because not many people want to admit to like saying, what do you know about this and what do you know about that? And sometimes it was a bit like, Trace had set up a lifestyle business. I was an area manager for a company taking millions for the business. And I was thinking, what does Trace know about networking and entrepreneurship? And there's me like, taking millions, thoughts, working with luxury brands, thinking, what does Trace know? And it was one of those decisions where that until it's explained to you and then you actually see it and then you resonate with those people, it was a light bulb moment. And that was something that, it stuck with you for the rest of your life. So I think it's just being open-minded and think of a different strategy on how it's come across. And that's where we it first took off really from me coming to the business, looking at strategies, and then we made sort of fundamental decisions in our business to sort of change.
I have a question here now, and I'm not sure if it's going to be applicable to you or you need to grab Tracey because it might be for her. They say your network is your net worth. So how important is building your network in business?
I think one of the three questions we've always asked, some even global entrepreneurs, like Lord Sugar, Grant Cardone, Richard Branson, and we've asked that question when we've interviewed them, and they've all said the same thing. Richard Branson told me about he builds circles of trust with people, and doesn't matter how small that circle is, he's managed to grow it, globally. The same with Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone has built his network on social media and marketing, and built his network with entrepreneurs. And also, when we interviewed Lord Sugar at the show in 2018, he would never be where he is today if he hadn't built his network of trust with individuals as well. And I think, one thing that, there was a 10X conference this year in Vegas with Grant Cardone, and Grant named 5 of his biggest influential keynote speakers that he's ever worked with, and one of them was Sharon Lechter. She was the only female global entrepreneur there who he recognised that he learned so much from, and we were fortunate to meet Sharon, and she was the one that changed my mindset. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be standing. I'd still be probably in the retail game now, doing what I've always did, is being, looking after retail fashion stores. I would still be there now today if I hadn't gone to that event.
I presume the vast majority of your work has been face-to-face networking up until recently. So you guys have had to make a career-changing decision in terms of there's no more face-to-face at the moment. So how important is the online networking events during these times?
I think it's such a fundamental decision that we had to make, because as soon as it was announced it was lockdown, prior to that, I never visualized that we would do an online event, because we've always done face-to-face, for over 11 years now. But we had been toying with the idea a couple of years ago about doing online events. But that decision, when it was lockdown, it was a transformation straight away for our business. What we had to do is like, right, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to achieve this? And obviously, without Zoom, that's one of the biggest, platforms we could have used. And I'll give an example. We tried to do online a couple of years ago, and it was a disaster event. It wasn't successful at all, and we had bad internet in our old house, and it kept failing, and the signal wasn't good at all there. So it just put us off, that whole experience. And we thought, oh, here we go again. Is this going to be the same? Because we had a bad experience. But you sort of learn from failure. And when you learn from failure, how to make it better? And obviously, what Zoom does now, you don't have that issue anymore. But since we've changed our business model to what we used to do before, we used to do like 3 events a month with 1 keynote speaker. And we'd average between 200 to 300 people at the events. What we're getting now is that we've changed our model to 8 networking events a month, to 8 keynote speakers, meeting face-to-face online. And it's been a huge success. We've had over something like 430 companies join us in the last 5 weeks. And it's been a massive intake, where what we're getting now is we're getting attraction from around the world. So people are joining us from like Scotland and Ireland and London and Europe and America, where normally you'd have to fly into the event face to face.
Yeah.
So that's been the huge difference, what we're getting now. Also, if we do go back to face-to-face events like next month or 6 months on the road, we'll still going to be doing online events, because I think it's a huge opportunity to meet people face-to-face and create new business opportunities by online.
The world of online makes the world a smaller place, doesn't it?
100%. And you can see why. So many people now are doing Zoom events, and also it's more of a lifestyle. It's more lifestyle for people living, which is more beneficial more than anything.
Yeah, I think this will make some businesses pivot and hit markets they never did before. Because you can hit any country now with Introbiz. People who historically would have thought, well, I wouldn't mind having a look at an event there, but that means I'm going to have to fly into London, get a train from London to Cardiff, to go to an event where, well, no, they don't have to do that. They can jump in now from Australia, wherever it may be.
So we got a guy tomorrow, Neil Gupta. He lives in LA. He works with Tony Robbins, one of the global speakers in the world. He works with Richard Branson, Les Brown. He mentors CEOs and sporting celebrities and business entrepreneurs. There's a 7-hour difference in time.
Yeah.
But he's joining tomorrow at 8 o'clock till 10 o'clock. And it's like face-to-face. People can meet him, speak to him, learn from him. He'll inspire people. He's a best-selling author. It's just much easier now doing that. If I had to fly him over, it probably cost me £10,000.
Yeah, exactly.
With first-class services and accommodation and all that. So the logical side of it is like, immense. Don't get me wrong. You can never beat face-to-face and see people in the face and learn them. But seeing people and learning from people face-to-face online, it's gonna revolutionary most people's businesses going forward now, I think, as a business entrepreneur.
The world becomes a smaller place, as we said. You've made reference to both of them earlier on a few times, but you hosted the largest exhibition in Wales a couple of years ago. Lord Sugar was there, Grand Cardone. What was that like for you and Tracey putting that on?
So one of the strategies when I came into the business, I remember Trace spending £1,000 at an exhibition at Cardiff City, and when we bought a stand there, we exhibited there, and I remember that day like yesterday. And I said to Trace, "So what happens now?" She said, "Well, not many people go to expos because no one does." I went, "Right." She said, "The only people who do business at exhibitions is the exhibitors, face to face." I went, "Okay." So we waited all day long there, and it was right. So about 20 people, 30 people, and most of them were the exhibitors who were there at the time. And then after the event, we packed away, and I sat in the car park, and I turned to Tracey. I said, right, we're going to do an expo in 3 months' time. She said, how are you going to do that? I said, I don't know, but I'm sure we can do a better job than this. And we did. We actually, we had some like 60 exhibitors and 500 people at the Rico Suite. Then the following year, we did the whole stadium, the 2 floors. We had 120 exhibitors, and we had about 1,000 people. And then we went to House of Sport 1, House of Sport 2, House of Sport 3, and sold out at every single event. And then our goal and our dream was always to host an event at the Motorpoint Arena and do the biggest event that Wales has ever seen, B2B. And that was always been a dream. It's always been a goal. It's always been like, how are we going to achieve that? And I think, prior to the Lord Sugar and Grant Cardone events, they were always on my agenda further down the line. And I think we hosted it in 2016, where we did our first event at the Motorpoint, and it was a great success. And every year it just grew and grew and grew. And then we had the opportunity to bring Lord Sugar. I'd never been to Cardiff. We had the opportunity to bring Grant Cardone to come to Cardiff as well. And we had, all the apprentice winners there. We had the CEO of WRU there. We had an amazing lineup of people, and it was pure pressure, because the nation, all eyes are on me, of like, how are you going to pull this off? How are you going to get these guys here? How are you going to sell out? And all the brands were there. The World Press was there. The BBC were there. Wales Online were there. BBC News filmed it live. It was on news. But I always believed that we could do it. The amazing people we have in our network, surround ourselves with fantastic brands. The speakers that we had, we knew them all, and we know they do a brilliant job. And we had the backing of the business community to support us. And I think without that backing that we built up, 5 or 6 years ago when we first started out, that's what brought the community. And I remember that decision when I told Tracey we're going to do an expo, and I got advice from about 5 or 6 business leaders in the community. And do you know what they all said to me? Don't touch it with a barge pole. Don't touch it. It'll fail. It'll be a disaster. No one goes to him. And it was one of those decisions: do I take the gamble or not? And I took the gamble. I said, right, I'm going to do it. And since then, since we did the expo, we geographically then went to the Dragons. Then we went to Llanelli. Then we went to Cardiff City. And now we're expanding the expo, further afield now, not just in the UK but across Europe as well now. So we just sold a franchise this year in Sweden, so we're doing an expo in Sweden. Nice. But it was an amazing experience, and to interview Lord Sugar and see the apprentice people there was like, I remember sitting on the stage watching him. And he's exactly the same person that you see on the telly as the apprentice.
If there's a lot of people going to a networking event, yours or others, what are the 3 key tips you could give them?
When you go to a networking event, always remember it's always about other people and not you. Because you'll find a lot of people that go there are looking, what are you going to do for my business? What can you add value to? And what can you offer me just solely for me? And networking is all about 3 things. It's all about helping, supporting people, and giving back to people, right? Because it is a true saying: the more you help people, the more you'll get back. Okay. The second thing about networking is never judge a book by its cover. I've seen people turn up at events and turn back and say, "There's no one in here I don't think is going to be suitable for me." And I've seen people do that, and I've been to an event where that's happened, and and you never know who's in that audience, and you never know who you're talking to, and also one of the tips: you never know who those people know. to grow your business. And I think that the number one golden tip in networking that most people fail is the follow-up. It's a true saying, over 85% of people fail to follow up on networking events because they're afraid of rejection, we're afraid of not connecting, they're afraid of, will these guys get on with me or can I help them? If you follow up people and say, how can I help you? Then you'll see the massive return, when you go networking. And I think it's people's perception that, never be afraid, be always open-minded, but also be there about helping people and serving people, because if you do, the rewards are, phenomenal.
Last thing, how can people find you and find out more about you, Introbiz, Tracey, and your upcoming events and becoming members?
We host events twice a week now. So you can go to www.introbiz.co.uk and go to our events page. We have a list of all our upcoming events for this week and next week, and upcoming events in May and rest of the year. Also, we have our expos, which Cardiff City, the Dragons, and Swansea Guildhall this year, and also in Sweden. Follow up with us on LinkedIn. Follow me on LinkedIn, and also Introbiz on Twitter and Instagram, and also on Facebook. And we're there just to help people. If you're looking to meet someone or meet a certain client or a business, we're here. We just love helping people, and to create opportunities for them to grow their businesses. And don't be afraid to reach out to us, and we would love to help you.
Before we go, Paul, I realise Tracey has a book out. As you said before, you always have to listen to your good wife. I presume if you don't give it a plug, you could be in severe trouble. So can you give us the name, or do you even have it to hand there?
Sure, yeah. So the book, it's called Master Networking, How to Build a Business by Talking to People. And it's on Amazon, it's on our website. Have a look at it. It's been endorsed on the front cover by Sharon Lechter, co-founder of Rich Dad Poor Dad, and Sharon helped us write the book. Okay, and there were some brilliant tips on there about networking. So yeah, have a look at the book there. There's Mrs. Smo, and give it a big plug. And she tells you all the principles on the back as well about how to be the perfect networker as well.
Perfect. Pardon the pun, but you're in the good books now in the house tonight because you plugged that.
She's actually on her second book now. She's writing her second book.
Wow.
So that's going to be out hopefully in the next 4 or 5 months.
That was a great chat with Paul. Some key takeaway points from this episode: finding out how Introbiz was founded, the wider audience can now take part online as a result of how we are adapting to the times we are in, the hosting of large exhibitions in Wales, and Paul's 3 key tips for networking. Head over to our website, www.sanfp.co.uk, or check our YouTube channel. Search Sanctuary Financial Planning in YouTube for more information and insights. That's it for this episode. Next, we're talking all things cricket with Glamorgan cricketers Dean Cosker and Michael Hogan. You can hear that wherever you get the podcasts. Plus, don't forget to click subscribe to get all the latest episodes as soon as they arrive. Until next time, thanks for listening.